Hello everyone, Warangel here, and welcome back to the adventures of Lord Skrolk and his pox-ridden buddies in Clan Pestilens. Now today's episode we have a simple goal, to go after the Turtle Isles to the west and eliminate the Order of Lawmasters from the campaign. Once we've dealt with them then we've got a bigger target in the form of the Children of Exotl, who, as we've seen in the past couple of episodes, have really been steamrolling through their confederations with the other Lizardmen tribes. In fact, it's gone to the point, I think, where the only other Lizardmen faction on the map is actually the Last Defenders. And I mean, hell, you can see right here in the events bar that the Children of Exotl confederated with the Cultists of Tech in the previous turn. So, yeah, they're starting to become quite scary. And if we don't try and deal with them sooner rather than later, they could easily start steamrolling and basically conquer us. So we definitely want to go after those. But first, let's go and slay some pointy ears. Quick. Alright, that's my Skaven speak done for today. Let's get started. So first, Bubble Rats. What I'm actually going to do, you Bubble Rats, is send you up to the Chamber of Visions. Not only do we have Ulthuan Stormrider hanging around, but I would like him to continue replenishing while we upgrade the defenses at the Chamber of Visions. So basically we can just get our hands on some walls. There we go. Let's upgrade that. Nice and easy. As for Skrolk, I would like to send him over here, but I do know that the Order of Lawmasters still has an army or two hanging around the place. So let's try and be a bit careful if we can. So for example, what would be a good spot for an ambush? 100 here? 25, let's go 31. We pop him here. Yes, there we go. Perfect. So if we can see if there's anything... Actually, we can. Techless himself is... Christ, he came back quickly. It feels like it was only a couple of turns ago we wounded him in battle. Oh no, did we? Yeah, we did. Because we did it last episode. Christ, has it really been that long? Wow. Anyway, we'll see what he does. Hopefully he'll head straight towards us here and we'll be able to take him out in an ambush. We'll wait and see. In the meantime, what else was there I wanted to talk about? Oh yes, of course, the Vortex. So, as you may have noticed at the end of the last episode, we have now got the opportunity to enact the Vortex ritual. Now if we click on it here, you can see it's the Ritual of Norlin. I don't know what it's involving because we missed the first video clip, but according to the description here, a machine of doom and curses is to be constructed, a mount for something even Skaven fear. On the ritual's completion, warpstone treated lumber shall be sourced for the carriage. Now, looking at the ritual sites, we've got Oxel, which we've been upgrading as our capital, which is fine, but the Mine of the Bearded Skulls and the Guacamole Crater, I don't think we've upgraded the defenses there yet. I know they're tier 3, tier 4, depending on the settlement, but yeah, we haven't got... Oh, excuse me, hiccups. We haven't got the upgraded defenses, and I think before we start even considering the rituals, I want to make sure that those places are locked down. So, if we grab the Mine of the Bearded Skulls first, let's have a look. I think our best bet is to actually maybe get rid of the scrap heap. While we are obviously using the 7 Spinoso Tech as a resource center, especially with our gold smelter, it's adding a bit of extra income, but it is fairly cheap and quick to rebuild. So I'd rather have defenses here right now. So let's go ahead and demolish that. And then at Guacamole Crater, we'll do the same here with the rubbish pit. Next turn then, we'll make sure to upgrade both places with defenses. So yeah, that's that done. What was the other thing? Oh right, yeah. So, what I wanted to actually do is if we go to diplomacy, what I've decided to do is add the Region Trader mod back to the mod pack because I do like that mod. I find it very useful. And I don't know why I missed it out in the beginning, but I want it back. So you can actually see it up here. And if for those of you that haven't experienced the Region Trader mod, it's basically what it says in the title. It's a mod which you need to install the framework mod so it can actually add this new menu here. But there are two versions of the mod. The mod I'm using is more restricted, but it makes a bit more sense with sort of role-playing aspect. So, for example, if you want to buy a region from a faction, you have to have at least a standing of 50 with them. You can't be at war with them, and you have to own a region in the province you want to buy territory in. So, for example, with Lockyer Felhard having the Sentinels of Time in our starting province, if we can get our relationship with him up to 50, we can buy that region off him because we have territory already there. But we can't just go and speak to Hexotl and buy their capital from them. Although saying that, there is actually the basically unrestricted version, which lets you just buy any territory that you want as long as you got the money. So you could go to war with someone and just simply buy all their territory off them and leave them nothing but their armies left. So it's a very cool mod, and I'm looking forward to trying to use it to gain my capital's province and to make it completely under my control. But before we do that, I need to start working on you. So 24 to 28. Right. In fact, plan more, since you're here. Let's have a look. Excellent. Alright, we can speak to the Grand here fights exiles in a second as well. Are you willing to give me trade? No. Okay. What about if I offer you some money? We'll do something like that. What about the Grand Hero fights exiles? Oh wow. You might need some mint or something for your voice, but he's actually done extremely well. Look at this. From the looks of it, he's really got Malekith, you know, and on the back foot. Wow. I mean, Moafi is basically just pushed back to Keshta Vault, and we can see that the Heralds of Ariel are still hanging around. Doesn't seem to be a war with them. In fact, I think he's pretty good terms with them, isn't he? Yeah. Oh, wow. Well done to him, I must say. Right. In that case, that is everything. Let's hit enter. Okay. So we managed to get an expert ambusher for Lord Skrolk. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go for all these other pop-ups. Right. Let's get started. So first of all, Obskeith seems to be nearby. Let's get you marching up towards the Dust Gate. Ideally, we want to secure it because it's another ritual resource site, but unless we're willing to go to war with Hexotl right away, I'd rather not deal with them, especially as, because they confederated, Teheran should be somewhere in the area. Last I saw him, he had a full stack and a Stegodon under his control. I'd rather try and avoid that if we can. Right, what do we have here? Right, can we set up an ambush with Bubble Rats? Or why don't we just attack straight away? Wow, okay, that's not looking too good for us. Let's retreat for the minute then. Let's see if we can actually be quite Skaven-esque. I thought we would have been within the reinforcement range, apparently not. Okay, sure. Let's move you here. Let's put you in ambush. Just see if he can attack us at the Chamber of Visions then. While you do that, Lord Skrolk has got the opportunity. Let's go and attack Teclis yet again. There we go, nice and easy. Goodbye. Right, what do we want? Warpstone tokens. I'm thinking extra food would be useful. Got plenty of tokens from that. Let's go ahead and get the food. Picked up a Scarecrow banner as well. High Elf Bane, cool. Right. How much movement do we have? If I move here, I could probably attack him in the following turn, but nah, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do it. I was thinking about maybe setting up an encampment so we can get some replenishment before the fight, but we might as well just go ahead and do it now, eh? Now, the reason before I do that, let me just check. Food generated, Raylan banner, Dwarf hide. Picked up the Scarecrow banner. We don't really need that, although what I could do is put that with Bubble Rats. Bearing in mind that he's going to go up against Stormrider at some point, having that under his control would be useful. Let's give you that as well. I'll give you a Dawnstone. And sure, let's go... Potion of healing? Yeah, let's go for that. Right. So you've set up an ambush. You're in position to go after Great Turtle Isle. Okay, Obskeef has moved. That should be everybody. Yeah. So we've got 12,000 tokens to spend. Let's now start upgrading our settlements. Minor Abated Skulls. Let's get our defenses. Crackmore Crater. Where are we? Here. Excuse me. Right. There we go. Could actually upgrade the construction place to have a warp forge. That'll help us out a bit, won't it? Right. In fact, we still got 800, right? Okay. I was recently watched a video by a small YouTube channel called Dame Offensive, who's been doing a few Warhammer 2 videos. And in a recent video she did, she talked about her uses for Skaven Undercities. So she pointed out two particular ones. One was as basically a sack-in town, where you can put a undercity in with some buildings to help improve your army's levels by constantly attacking and sacking a particular settlement. And with the right buildings, you can continue getting replenishment and other things for your army. And it's a good way of leveling up your characters. But the other thing she mentioned is a way to try and get some warpstone tokens and food by going after a wealthy city using the Warlock engineer from the Scheme of Doom. And Scheme of Doom only costs 800. So let's go ahead and get that. Give it a second. Right. Pestilens. Now, let's see. Which one would be a good wealthy one for us to attack? 1,388. Personally, I think the best one would be to go after Itza. Because of the gold mine here. Yeah, 2,611. Right, let's go for that. Can't do it quite yet, but we'll get it soon. Let's get you marching over there in the meantime. But yeah, I'll put a card up, if possible, in the video itself, so you guys can check out the video as well. And check out our channel as well. If you want, tell her, give her a shout out. I don't think it makes any difference. I haven't spoken to her or anything yet. But, yeah, it's always nice to get, share the smaller YouTubers like myself and get people to see them. Vectech, let's give you now. Got all of your spells. Okay, anything for defense? Not really. Okay, let's just focus on Wild-Eyed for the attack then. Alright, Skrolk. I think we can get now renowned and feared. We'll grab that straight away. Right. Let's just see what happens next. Oh. Bugger. So. Obviously the ambush didn't work. Not only that, but he's using a lightning strike to make it so we can't bring in the reinforcements from the Chamber of Visions. Oh, you sod. Right. Well, we're going to have to just fight it the normal way then. Let's grab some uses of the Menace Blow just to help things out a bit. We'll go for 5. We might as well overwhelm them with numbers as much as possible. Sure. Let's go for 6. No, let's go for 5. Right. See you guys down on the battlefield. Right then guys, here we are outside the Chamber of Visions, as despite being caught by surprise by the advance of Ulthuan Stormrider and his host of warriors, Bubblerat was nevertheless able to get his warriors into position to engage the enemy. So, as we keep things in slow motion temporarily, I'm just going to showcase what formation I've done for the battle. So if I zoom out here a second, you can see I've gone for a fairly standard line. I know these formations are not really good, especially when it comes to fighting in multiplayer, but since I don't fight in multiplayer games, I enjoy just setting things up the way I like, so I do it this way. But we have Plague Monks in the center, Clan Rats with spears on either flanks. On each flank then we have a unit of Rat Ogres, with the one on our right flank hiding back here in the trees, right here in fact, as I want to catch any surprise flanking maneuvers by the enemy by surprise in return. So right here, for example, is Ikit Zap Zap, the warp lightning cannon we've got. As you can see, it's got armor-piercing missiles and anti-large, so its only target for this battle pretty much is to take on Ulthuan Stormrider itself. So we're advancing over. Unfortunately, someone just about to cast some magic in order to boost up his armor level, so not ideal. but it was slowly doing damage to him, which is the main thing I wanted to try and do during the fight. While this is all going on as well, if I, head over here by accident, I got my storm vermin with halberds, given that they are capable of taking on large targets, in order to go and chase after Ulthuan as soon as he lands. We also got my gutter runners and night runners ready to fire upon the enemy, and in particular again, take on the storm rider if needed. And right here, behind the enemy's advance, we got my units of Viscritwin's Death Squad, as well as Alok Ishini, our assassin, whose job it is to come and outflank the enemy's position when they get further ahead. So, let's speed things up a little bit. Now, one thing I ended up doing, I also had Slicin, our Plague Priest, standing in front of the army, ready to do the tactic we've used many a time in the past, which is to summon in a Clan Rat unit using the Menace Blow, and then using Plague to damage the enemies attacking it in close combat. In the meantime, though, Ulthuan is just managing to weather the storm of warp lightning that's going straight into his position. And here comes our Clan Rats, right in the middle of the Slithering Guard right here. Now again, these are not designed to really do any damage. All they're doing is pinning the enemy in place, and, well, getting pinned in place in return by the net of Amatok. Seems the Stormrider also has access to a whole bunch of magic, so we have to be careful what happens with it in combat. But luckily for us, we were able to do Plague nevertheless, doing a ton of damage to the Slithering unit here. And with this other unit charging in as well, it's also taking damage too. Now, with the enemy getting closer, you can see I've started moving my units to attack their position. My Plague Priests are going straight into the Lothan Sea Guard. The others are staying behind, providing fire support, with the remnants of those two Silverin armies trying to come forward and charge support. But luckily for me, Rat Ogres are coming into flank. I've used the Clan Ratsmen on either flank here, just to try and hold the enemy in position, while my assassins start coming in. Now with Vistrin's Death Squad, I'm using Gilsilman's bombs at the moment, which has made them unspottable, meaning I was able to actually catch up with the archers here in pretty good speed. So they're now pinned in place and they'll be taking a ton of casualties because of it. This unit is just going to chase after this one, and Alok Ishini is going to be heading straight through, with the objective being to go after any enemy units he can get his claws or daggers into. To be honest, I was actually planning to try and send him to attack the enemy mage, but for the entire battle I had no idea where he was. It's only later on I actually saw him fighting up near my warp lightning cannons that, I have to admit, surprised me when it happens. But anyway, heavily ahead here now, you can see Ulthuan Stormrider has taken a ton of damage in this fight. Between the Storm Vermin coming into attack, as you can see here, as well as all my slingers, we're just peltering him with slingshot and warp lightning cannon shots. Unfortunately for us, he managed to get away with very little health, but it just means we'll be able to track him down in the next end turn. In the meantime though, he's leaving his warriors to try their best to fend off our advance. That's not going to be doing too well for us. For them, I should say. God, I'm just recovered from playing through the actual episode, which you'll be seeing later on, and yeah, it's gonna be a rough one for me. But anyway, we managed to eliminate one Sylvan Guard unit, the others are starting to lose morale fairly quickly, another one's starting to fall back here with the Lothan Sea Guard. Luckily, Alok Ishini has been doing a ton of damage to him. The Plague Monks are going in with this one, who's starting to retreat as well. Over on the back here, and actually never got around to showing these guys because they happened too quickly, but you can see over here the devastation that happened thanks to the Silver Helm trying to charge into my Rat Ogres. You can actually, if we zoom in a little bit, you can just about make out the warp lightning still going across the body. How cool is that? But I managed to do a ton of damage to them. The Storm Vermin is still now chasing down some of the last few survivors. The Lightning Blast is trying its best to catch up with them as well. Wow. Managed to get through out of there, which is a bit of health. But at this point now, victory is mine. All I need to do now is spend the next few minutes chasing down as much of the enemy as possible, using the Menace Below, which I have a couple left, in order to try and just make them appear in front of enemy units to make it easier for us to catch them. But as you can see though, victory is mine. It's time for us to head back to the campaign map. So, a close victory. Although I'm quite happy with the fact that we managed to wipe out all the infantry in his force, and we came so close to killing off Ulthuan yet again. But it wasn't meant to be. Although saying that, we did pick up the terrifying Mask of E. Anyway, what do we want to do with the captives? Replenishment could be nice, but I think let's get some more food yet again. And what I will do then, I think, is just chase down the survivors in the next turn. Why is that going fast? I swear, sometimes that game just does it when I'm not expecting it. Right. I'm a little concerned about down here. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but the fact that we've got a full stack of troops led by a Tehran riding a Stegodon, a little concerned about trying to fight them if they decide to declare war on us, while my forces are nowhere nearby to help intervene, you know? Ah. Right. Well, I was expecting it to happen, but I'm surprised that the balance bar is so much more in their favour now than it was before. I'm guessing they built siege equipment, but still. Okay. We're gonna have to fight this then anyway. We'll rely on the Menace Blow to try and bolster our numbers a bit. 6 should be enough. Otherwise, yeah. Let's see how we do. Here we are then, guys, at the gates of the Mortuary of Zalakwa. As you can see, Malice Darkblade has attempted to try and split up my garrison by attacking from 2 different fronts. Luckily, though, we're going to have plenty of stuff to try and fire back. So, as you can see, the enemy has actually got 2 little sets of siege towers, 2 over here and 2 over here. And given these 2, I've got Corsairs. I've focused on these 2 first of all. So, all my towers are firing on this particular tower, as well as the Plague Claw Catapult, firing a ton of damage. And over here, we've got more towers going after this second unit 1 here. Simply because that had Corsairs, whereas the other one just had Dread Spears. I figured out of the 2, the Corsairs would be a much more deadly option. So at this point, it was just a case of attacking again and again, waiting for them to destroy the tower, which is what they just pulled off now. So, we managed to inflict a ton of casualties on that Corsairs unit, and to try and help things out a bit more, we're summoning a unit of Clan Rats. Now this time round, we don't actually have a plague spell or anything. What we do have is that ability that we can use once per battle, which basically causes the unit to blow up. So, just as you can see there. Boom! Right. So with that, we managed to kill off a lot of the bow Corsairs here. Kill out even more of the Corsairs here. And we managed to do a little bit of damage to this, not too much. But, unfortunately, despite our best efforts with that tower, the second tower managed to get to the walls. Very unfortunate, but it does mean the Corsairs inside can come out and attack with a vengeance. Now the thing is, despite the first couple of casualties going to us, the Plague Monks unfortunately are going to suffer in this fight. Mainly because they can do just as much damage to these guys as they can do in return, but it's also the fact that they've got better armor. So despite it saying losing decisively, in the actual camp battle itself, my Plague Monks didn't do too well. Well, as you can see now, in fact. To try and help things out a bit, I did have some Gutter Runners position. I was trying to run in some Night Runners as well. But we're going to have to leave the fight going over here a second, because as we travel over here... Oh, actually, I'll point this out, because I didn't realise what was happening for most of the battle, but this master character, Elwith, was attacking our gate, but he's not doing much damage, and so he just spends most of the battle until near the end, just attacking that. Over on this side now, we've managed to destroy another tower just as he made it to the walls. Unfortunately, some of the Black Ark Corsairs managed to get out of there, so we didn't get as many casualties as we would have liked. But the Dread Spears have managed to come out and start attacking, with reinforcements coming up from the bottom as and when they can. We're trying to hold them in place. We do have Clan Rats nearby, and what I'm trying to do is down here, use my Deathglow Bombardiers even, to try and basically fire their globes over the walls and try and attack the unit on top. We are inflicting casualties, but it's the case that, as you can see, a lot of them are just missing or even just hitting the edge of the pom part instead. Very unfortunate, but what can you do? We do have some Night Runners and then Clan Rats going to be moving over to try and deal with that situation as well. Whereas back over here, you can see things aren't going quite that well for us. I think we managed to get the unit of Hambos, as well as the Corsair unit that we damaged down here, to start running away. And to try and hold things out a bit, we do have a unit summoned in with the menace below to try and attack these from behind, while we focus instead on just shooting them with our towers. Unfortunately, at this point, the last couple are making their way up into the tower itself to fight on the wall. But, yeah, the fact that they've got their ability increasing their combat prowess is not helping us out much. But, yeah, it's going okay though. Back on this side, you can see we're taking again some more casualties from our units. The fact that I'm throwing the globes from the death globe bombardiers up into near my own units is not really helping our casualties. But we haven't taken that much casualties from friendly fire. This unit just had the misfortune of being attacked by a bunch of enemy troops being boosted by murderous prowess. Now to help out a little bit, you've got another Clan Rats unit being summoned to try and march up. And you might have heard the lightning static. Oh, that's the ability we picked up from the workshop, which next episode I'm going to have to remember to start spending, because we've got a ton of warpstone gas that we can use. But at this point I'm just being a little concerned, because we're taking casualties, and I'm trying to not get my people to die. But luckily for us, like the Poison Wind Globadiers, they've been doing the same job on this side as the Death Globe have been doing on the other side, and they've been doing extremely well. 89 casualties. Very, very impressed. Now luckily for us now, at this point of the battle, we've managed to kill off most of the enemy units or cause them to either retreat or shatter completely. We've still got a couple units hanging out, like this unit over here, as well as a couple that we're just chasing down back here in the center. The idea being I'm trying to get them to shatter rather than just retreat, because then if they shatter, they can't come back. But it's just trying to make sure we catch them up as soon as we can. If I hover over here though, you can see the slight problem. We've got numbers going down and down, but we still outnumber the enemy massively. Trying to help out a little bit here and there by getting like these Clan Rats we summoned in to chase after the Dark Shards. We have plenty of people on the walls trying to do some damage as well as ones over here where you can see a couple of them are still trying to run off. The problem came in though when once this Dark Shard unit had been destroyed. So we've got, shots coming in from the towers, we've got the Plague Claw catapults firing as well. It led to a very annoying situation, because all that was left, once this unit started retreating, was Malice Darkblade and that Master. And, yeah, they were not budging. All that ended up doing is that we had the Master just attacking the gates for ages. We had Malice attacking anyone that basically came out of the gates. And these guys running off at this point just meant that that's all we had to worry about was the two characters. In fact, let's speed things up a little bit to show off what happens. You can see the casualties are going down lower and lower. Despite the fact that they've only got 6 people left, they haven't shattered, which I thought was quite surprising. They even came back temporarily until they've gone again. But look at this. 23, 22, 2 characters left, right? Outnumbered 500 to 1, and they still didn't budge. At this point I was getting annoyed, so Malice was over here chasing down some of my troops. So what I ended up doing was using some more Menace Below Clan Rats to come in and attack the Master here. I figured he can't be that well experienced, given that he's been recently recruited. I should be able to deal some damage to him, given that we outnumber him massively, and hopefully he was going to start retreating. I also got my Poison Wind Globadiers and my Death Globes to try and fire into the melee. Perhaps not the best tactic, given that we took a bunch of casualties, but these are just summoned rats, so I really don't care. But it was enough to start getting him to retreat, and once he got out of here, he was able to start taking a ton of damage from all the missile units we got up on the wall. But it still wasn't enough for Malice Darkblade. He comes running in now, seeing the gates were open, and he's going to have a go now at trying to smash the gates. His leadership was just fantastic. He's now pretty much the only character left, right? The other one here, Elquid, is still going back and forth on whether or not to stay or fight, but he's just going at the gates. I mean, look at him in Spite. Isn't it his name of his Cold One? I can never remember. But he's going at it, staying thing, and I'm just thinking, God almighty, come on guys. This is going back and forth. He's running away and charging back in. My clan rats are starting to take casualties, especially from friendly fire. So between that, and he's going back, these guys are going to actually start wavering and retreating in a minute. But it's still like, when are these guys going to run away? Here we go. They actually, my troops run away, but not theirs. He's still standing around. He can't do much against my other units because they're obviously up on the wall. But it's only when he came close to death that he decided to retreat. And then it's then that Malice Darkblade started to retreat as well. So I figured I'll take the opportunity just to try and get some damage to the guy after him chasing down so much of my units. He only managed to kill 15. Wow. Given how much time he spent chasing after my units outside the walls, I was surprised he didn't kill more. But, as you can see, it's a victory to us, albeit with some casualties, and the game considers it a heroic victory. So, let's go back to the campaign map. God, I hated that battle. I mean, you guys would have saw it by this point after watching the replay, but God, I hated that battle. It was so irritating to deal with these two. Especially, well, not even you. You didn't really join in this. You stood around this entire time, just you. Anyway. Alright. Given the amount of casualties we took, I'm going to go and eat the captives this time. I think after that, we deserve having a bit of a feast. Anyway, let's get through the rest of this end turn phase. Not again! Oh, Christ, right. So we got a rebel army now coming to attack us at the mortuary. This time, though, they were able to attack straight away, I presume because of the rat ogres. Do they have siege assault? Yes, they do. They have siege attacker. Right. Okay. Time to fight another battle. Well, again, get some use of the menace below, just to help things out a bit. Let's go. We can get 7 uses, sure. We might need it given the amount of casualties we took. Anyway, guys, back to the mortuary yet again. Well then, guys, here we are for round 2 at the defense of the mortuary of Zulaqua. Although this time round, it's a very different battle we're going to be facing. The tired garrison of the mortuary are now going to go up against a massive army, and for once, we're the ones outnumbered, nearly 2 to 1, as you can see on the number count up here. Now, in this case, we didn't have to worry so much about siege towers, we just needed to attack the enemy as they try and rush the walls, inflicting as many casualties as we can before they get into position. Now, what helped out a bit was, for whatever reason, the AI decided to form a huge group of units here, 5 of them in total, including their storm vermin. So, when I saw this, once it came into view, I started sending my plague claw catapults to fire on it straight away, so we can inflict as much casualties over there as possible. Otherwise, if I let things continue, you can just see a swarm of Skaven going to be heading straight towards my walls. Oh, I was not looking forward to this fight, I can tell you that now. For a second, I thought these rat ogres were dressed like the Hulk. Be with, red instead of purple. Well, glad that wasn't the case. Anyway. Enemy getting closer and closer. We are inflicting some early casualties thanks to the plague claw catapults, and I was able to get my warlock engineer Garth to fire a blast through the enemy. Luckily, we were able to do a ton of casualties. And as the enemy get closer, you can see some shots coming in from my death globes and my poison wind globadiers. The original target was going to be the warlord. I figured if we can kill him off early on, that's going to help us out massively when it comes to the enemy's morale. But otherwise, we're just watching the enemy getting closer and closer to my gates. Now, over this point, I decided to try and use our magical damage, just in order to try and inflict some casualties. That was from the one-use ability we had, but unfortunately it didn't do as much as I would have liked, but, what can you do? Instead, what I tried doing is the same tactic as we did in the previous battle, summoning clan rats and then using the self-destruct ability to kill them off. Now, I was planning to use it here originally, but the health for some reason was just above the halfway point, and it wasn't really being that useful, so by the time it actually got low enough we could have used it, I had no troops nearby to fight, explode and kill. So what I ended up doing instead is summoning another unit when we could, right in the middle of the enemy's army. So at this point we've got clan rats and slingers and that here. We've got some units trying to make their way up the wall, and we're just about in time now. Again, one of those annoying moments where I was just there with the ability in my mouse pointer clicking away for the time when we could just about activate it. And it's about now where it's like, oh, come on, why aren't you working, So there we go, boom! Just a nice explosion of red blood as all those enemy units just take a ton of casualties. And already some of them are starting to run away. Not that it's really helped with the numbers though. If I hover over here now, you can see we're just under the 2-to-1 ratio. So not ideal. And what hasn't helped is this. We've managed to get their warlord, Effector to manage to climb the walls and start going after Garth, our warlock engineer, who, as you can imagine, as an engineer, is not really the best person to be fighting a warlord in battle. So he's starting to waver and retreat. Luckily, though, we are summoning more clan rats to try and help things out as much as possible. We've got our Plague Claw catapults kind of stuck at the moment, because all they can do is just try and fire on enemy units. Ooh, hiccups, excuse me. That are far away enough they can actually arc their fire over the walls. Otherwise, it's just a case of trying to stand there, because I didn't want to take too much friendly fire, because we've only got so many troops already. Now here are the heroes, our Poison and Wind Globadiers and our Death Globe Bombardiers. Between these guys, we've got them set up just to bombard this section of the wall with as much poison globes as we can possibly do. We're killing more and more as they're making their way up the walls even more now. You can see over here we've got some more rats coming up, this time just a bunch of Skaven slaves. But still, we are still heavily outnumbered at this point. Now back here in the centre again, I'm calling in more reinforcements. Luckily for me, I've made sure to get as much of the Menace Below use as we can possibly get, and I'm making sure to use them. Although, maybe I shouldn't have been throwing my Poison Wind Globes straight into our units, eh? Oh, that was bad. The Warlord now at this point has started to run away. That's helping us out with morale debuffs. He's going to be coming back quite shortly, but we have a couple of units nearby that's going to be able to help out getting him to run away again. But while this has all been going on, if I zoom in over this side, we've got some more clan rats trying to do some work, but at this point, the gates have still been taking a ton of damage. In fact, have they been destroyed yet? I think they have. Yes, they did. Right, didn't notice that. My bad. But I did do in the battle, luckily for me. And so with our Poison Wind Globes and, Death Globes, we're actually able to get the Rat Ogres to retreat. And I made sure to send a unit after them just to keep the pressure on them to make sure they don't come back. So that was lucky. Over here, though, where the fight continues, our globes are still doing a ton of damage. I'm trying to hold the enemy in place as much as possible, and I'm summoning more and more rats from the Menace Below to try and help out in that regard. But it is tough. We are outnumbered heavily, don't forget, even now if I hover over here. You can see, actually, things have become fairly equal between us. We are causing enough casualties. Although, as you can see, the morale is not hanging on. It's barely there by a thread. Even our Plague Claw catapults start running around at this point, trying to get some shots in. Again, the enemy is just too close to the walls to be effective. Over here now, Effector K has managed to come back, but what I've got is my Night Runner units. I got them on skirmish mode, and they're just firing the shurikens and throwing daggers in order to try and damage him and get him to retreat. He is catching up and doing some damage, like he's just slaughtered that rat right there, wow. I miss the kill animations happening more often in this. I've seen it actually happen twice in a row. That's very rare in my experience. Yeah. Wee, ugh, another rat. Now, unfortunately my unit's about to retreat, but we've got another one nearby, so I'm going to be able to get... In fact, is that him there? No, it is not. Okay. Let's come back over here a minute. But as you can see, Garth has managed to come back. He's just providing a bit of leadership at this point, since I can't really use him for much else apart from his Scorch ability, which is a slight problem when the enemy are mostly on the wall. I still got a bit of an opportunity there to try and cast it, and you'll see in a minute I'll actually try and cast it to catch some of these guys. And well, luckily for me, I remembered how the wall works. So here, we've got the Scorch bouncing off the wall and going straight into there. If only I was that good when it came to snooker. Luckily though, just as that blast comes down, we have actually won the battle. The enemy have started to retreat. I've got still a couple uses of the Menace Blow, so I start summoning them in here and there in order to catch the enemy off guard and attack them from the front, inflicting even more casualties. But at this point, after what was a tough fight at the time, we were able to win it, and another heroic victory for the settlement. So with that, guys, let's go back to the campaign map. So there we go, guys. Another heroic victory. Thank God that was over. When you watch the replays, I'm probably going to be a lot more enthusiastic, but after playing through now 2 quite tough battles and winning by literally the... yeah, it's been tough. But anyway, let's continue. We're going to go ahead and let's try and get a bit more food this time, eh? Now, one lucky thing is because of the replenishment we'll get from the end turn, just like this now, we'll be able to... Oh, when that actually sorts itself out. But it means now, if those rebels try to attack us again at the mortuary, we'll now actually have some replenishment happen with the garrison. So, yeah, be happy about that. Right, do I want to do nightly raids? No, not now. Not now. Terrifying Mask of E. Okay, Knights of Origo. Any more? Right. Okay. We're going to have to actually bring today's episode to an end now, because I did not expect to fight so many battles and for it to take up that much of the episode. Especially that second one, fighting Malice Darkblade. That was so annoying. Just to sit there and watch these 2 characters still stick around, despite getting pelted. But I did say I was going to get Great Turtle Isle, or at least get Turtle Isle under my control. By God, I'm going to do it. So, let's attack at the Great Turtle Isle. And I'm just going to auto-resolve this. There we go. A close victory, but you know what? I'll take it. I will take it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and sack it first of all. Okay, there's a ton of tokens. Pop through all of these. Even more, even more, even more. Right, let's go in now. And let's use some of our food. We could go quite far. Level 4? No, let's just go level 3. And there we go. We have now taken Great Turtle Isle. All we need to do now is go after the Golden Ziggurat, as well as go after the Mud Isles. And then we can finish that off in the next episode. I'll probably get Bubba Rat to come over and help with that, because we're going to be waiting ages for replenishment otherwise. So yeah, we'll bring Lord Skrolk back, we'll take Bubba Rat over here, and yeah, we'll just end it here now. Thank you everyone for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and you do join me next time for some more Warhammer. But until then everybody, take care, stay safe, and goodbye for now. God, I need a cup of tea.